Welcome to Kojo's Pre-Algebra. Today we're going to talk about equations with fractions and the distributive property. We're going to do a quick review. Notice that we've done equations, two-step equations, where we have 2/3 x plus 7 equals 14, where we have 2/3 as the coefficient of the variable. And you know we subtract 7 from both sides and we multiply by the reciprocal of the coefficient of the variable and we get 21/2 or 10 1/2. What happens though when we have fractions that are in the problem other than the coefficient? Now we could add 1/4 to both sides and then multiply by the reciprocal just like we do in the two-step equations, but I don't like to do that. Okay, I don't like to do that. You know what, I don't think I did that. Alright, so, and the reason why I don't is because I make careless mistakes with my fractions. Remember, fractions, I make mistakes with my sums. You know, great mathematicians aren't great at sums. Remember that? Okay, so I don't like to work with fractions, so I want to get rid of them as soon as possible. So remember, I can do anything I want to an equation. I can do anything I want as long as I do it to both sides. And the key here is as long as I do it to everything when I'm multiplying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the least common multiple, or a common denominator, to these fractions. So what is the least common multiple, or the common denominator of 3 and 4? 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use those giant parentheses, and I'm going to multiply everything throughout the equation by 12 over 1. Now careful. This is the same thing we would do if we multiply by the reciprocal of x to get rid of it, but now I have this fraction I want to get rid of too. When I multiply both sides of an equation, it's different than when I add. When I add both sides to an equation, when I add 1/4 to each side, it's addition and subtraction. So I'm just going to take one sum and move it to the other side. However, when I multiply, I have to multiply everything on both sides of the equation when I want to manipulate it. I have to multiply every single number. So 12 over 1 times 1/3 becomes 4x. 12 over 1 times 1/4 becomes 3, because the 4 goes into 12 3 times, and 3 times 1 is 3. And then 12 times 12 is 144. No fractions. No fractions. So now I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I get 4x equals 147. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. This is in lowest terms, so I'm probably going to say x equals 147 over 4. I can change that to a mixed number if I'd like. I'm not going to do that right now. So, what about this one? See, here's a nightmare of fractions. If I had to get a common denominator and subtract fractions, it takes too much time for me. I don't like to do that. So I'm going to say, oh, I got 3 fractions. What's the least common multiple of the 3 fractions? What's the lowest common denominator? 21. So I'm going to multiply everything. I'm going to get rid of that by 21 over 1. No, that's not right, is it? It's not 21. I jumped the gun. It's 42. 42 over 1, because I have to have a common denominator for 6, 7, and 21. Well, 42 goes into all of them. So I get 6 goes into 42. I multiply these two. I get 35x. I hope you see how I do that. 6 goes into 42, 7, and 7 times 5 is 35. Now I have to multiply everything by 42 over 1. So 7 goes into 42 6 times, and 6 times 1 is 6. I bring down that plus sign. And then 21 goes into 42 2 times, and 2 times 2 is 4. Voila! My life is easier. Now I can just do regular two-step equations. I get 35x equals -2, divide both sides by 35, and my answer is -2/35. The only reason why I'm doing this is so you can see you can manipulate an equation any way you want to. Remember that. And I like to get rid of the fractions so I don't have to fool with them. Now, I want you to try this one. That's a 5 6x plus 2/3 equals 6. Stop the video, do the problem, and come back. How'd you do? Let's see. So you know that the common denominator is kind of easy. If you used 18, you could have used 18, but the easier one is to say 6. So I multiply by 6. multiplied everything by 6. This becomes 5x plus 4 because 3 goes into 6 too. 2 times 2 is 4 because those are equivalent fractions, right? We're just kind of simplifying. And then equals 36. Then I do my two-step equation. I get 6 1/5. I hope that's what you got. Looking good? All right, let's go down here. And this is just a reminder about the distributive property. We talked about it. It was on the test last time. -5 times quantity x plus 4. You're multiplying -5 times positive 1x. -5 plus positive 4. And we get -5x minus 20. Here, though, what I did is I wrote this out because now I changed the sign to subtraction, which makes this a -5. That's where students make mistake. So I'm showing you the distributive property, -4 times 2x, then I bring down my minus sign, and then -4 times -5. I need to put -5 there, don't I? Or -4 times 5, excuse me. If I bring down my minus sign, then that's just a 5, right? So I'm going to say -4 times 5. What I'm trying to get you to think, though, is -4 times -5, so you can go straight to this. A negative times a negative is a positive. I'm showing you the work. You don't have to. So this becomes -8x, bring down the negative, and then -4 times 5 is -20, so a double negative gives you -x plus 20. See here, here's what I want you to start doing. -7 times -4 is positive 28. -7 times -7 is positive 49, and that's 28x, by the way. Now I want you to try these. -3 times the quantity of 10x minus 8. 3x minus, be careful with this one, the quantity of x plus 6. And 10x minus 2 times the quantity of x minus 3. Stop the video. See how you do. Come back when you're ready. Let's see how you did. Now this was tricky, because that's a what? That's a -1 there. So you're distributing a -1. And you don't have to show that step. For the first one, -3 times 10x, -38. -3 times -8, positive 24. You should be able to do that in your head. See, this one I'm going to remove the parentheses, and I go 3x minus. Well, I'm distributing a -1. So 3x minus x, and then -1 times positive 6 is -6. So then I do like terms, 2x minus 6. Same thing with this one, except now I don't have a 1 here, I have a 2. I distribute a -2. Remember, this has a dual sign? It's a negative sign and it's a minus sign. But when I look at it independently, to distribute, it becomes a negative sign. So -2 times x becomes -2x. So I write 10x minus 2x. -2 times -3 is positive 6. Add like terms, 8x plus 6. Okay. You don't have to show the step, but you have to think it. These arrows sometimes help so you don't forget. Biggest mistake. Big mistake. People go minus x plus 6. They don't distribute the negative here. Same thing here. They'll get -2x and then they'll get minus 6. Be very careful with that second sign. Write down 2 things you know and 1 question you still have. I'll see you in class tomorrow. Mr. Al hasn't arrived yet. He's still flying to the new digs. He should be here next time. Bye-bye.